your identity gets too wrapped up in conflict, and it's just like super unhealthy.
Well,
super
we know
unhealthy
people
for you.
our age who are still doing that shit.
Of course.
Comics.
Marc Maron, don't say it.
I mean, I don't get it. I'm like, I don't know.
I get it. He's sad. He's sad. He wants other people to hurt. That's what it is.
It's just not charitable. It's
also he's pathologically jealous. Like he's like literally mentally ill. Like
So it seems like Marc Maron and all of his appearances where he called out the Rogansphere have not only managed to get under the skin of the comedians within that circle, but his criticism has finally reached the final boss of promoting mediocre comedians, Joe Rogan himself. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, basically, in order to promote his comedy special, Maron decided to do the rounds on various podcasts. In some of those episodes, the conversation landed on the Rogansphere and Joe Rogan, toward whom Maron had some very valid criticism.
With the video podcast.
With the video, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, me and who else?
Rogan.
Okay.
Who's that?
Joe Rogan.
Joe, he's
Joseph Rogan?
Yeah, he's out of Texas.
Oh, Texas. Got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Got it.
Yeah. You love Austin, don't you?
He's running half the planet out of Texas.
Yeah.
He's got a tight hold on the enlightened meatheads.
Dude, Maron's disdain.
It's not disdain. It's reasonable criticism.
Reasonable criticism.
Yeah.
When was the last time you spoke with him?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess it would have been at the store. I never talked to him in Austin. I don't go into the club. I don't really think I'm on his radar. So
Something tells me you are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, something.
Something tells me you are.
I don't. It's weird that you get lumped into a certain thing, and maybe it's my assumption that his army of healthy fellas.
Is that their title? Army of Healthy Fellas is so good.
No, you just got to, got to stay in, keep the machine.
The machine's got to be good.
Yeah.
That's a shot at Bert. Go ahead.
What do you think the Austin shelf life is going to be?
Well,
I don't know. Like, I think that it's so effectively tribalized at this point. It really comes down to material. I mean, at what point, it's like whatever they represented in terms of policy. And it's not a stretch. It's like they won. Trans people are frightened. They have no ability to get health care anymore. And they're afraid of being alive and have no freedom left. So that's done. When do you stop with the jokes?
When do you stop with the jokes?
And like immigrants, okay, well, they're being ripped away from their homes, and they're all terrified, and okay, so that's done. When do you stop with the jokes?
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to pick on the vulnerable and the marginalized, but I mean, they're down.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
they're down.
Why do you got to keep hitting them unless you're a hack? Now, there's a question.
Wow, Mark.
He comes in swinging.
Yeah.
No, so I don't know the last time I talked to Joe. People for a while were like, why don't you go on Joe's show? And my answer to that is like, why?
Why? Right. Well, it doesn't service you.
Well, no, I don't need him, and also there's no way for me to, like, what am I going to talk to him about? And there's no way for me to sort of not walk out of there and be like, all right, I guess I'll look at my phone. Oh, fuck. How long is this going to go on for?
Now, because Joe Rogan is a sensitive little fella who can handle too much criticism at once, he decided to wait a couple of months before coming up with the perfect response to what Marc Maron had to say about him. Rogan went with the classic excuse he always gives whenever someone dares to criticize him, that the person criticizing him is either mentally ill, a Democrat, or just jealous. Is the kind of excuse you'd expect someone in middle school to come up with, but since this is Joe Rogan, that's the best we've got.
Your identity gets too wrapped up in conflict, and it's just like super unhealthy.
Well, we know people our age who are still doing that shit.
Of course.
Comics.
Marc Maron, don't say it.
I mean, I don't get it. I'm like, I don't know.
I get it. He's sad. He's sad. He wants other people to hurt. That's what it is.
It's just not charitable. It's
also he's pathologically jealous. Like he's like literally mentally ill. Like, do you understand? Mark, when he first started, when he was just first coming up, was friends with Mitch Hedberg, and then Mitch Hedberg hit, and he couldn't be friends with him anymore.
Really?
Yep. Stop being his friend. Same thing with Louis C.K. Louis C.K. and him were tight. Louis blew up. Mark didn't. He had to fucking hate him, and he turned on him. Talked shit about him openly. And then he became successful. And the years where Marc was successful were the best years of Marc. Because Marc was fun. Like, I've had ups and downs with Marc. I've gone through this with him like 3 or 4 different times where he gets upset at me, and then we talk, and then, are we good? We're good. Like, he likes to do that. He likes to talk shit about you, and then you confront him, and he says, you're right. And with me, my relationship with him was really complicated because when I was an open micer, I was 21 years old, and I was just starting out. Marc gave me a compliment once that really helped me. He came up to me and he goes, hey, man, you're really funny. He says, keep doing what you're doing. Don't listen to anybody else. Just keep doing what you're doing. I was like, wow, thank you.
That's his best side. That's the good side.
It is not all bad.
No.
And he was a young guy back then, right? So he was just being cool. And then over time, obviously I became more famous than him and more successful than him. And he does not like that. He fucking hates that. And the only time we were cool was when Marc was number 1. So Marc, the podcast took off, and you got to realize it took off when he was deep into his 40s, right? And it was the number 1 podcast in the country. And he was on Rolling Stone magazine, and, you know, he had his own show on IFC, the Maron Show, and he was fucking great. He was cool to hang with. He was fun because he didn't have to compare himself to anybody anymore because he was a success. Like, he could look at his own success. He was doing a television show. He had his podcast. Everything was great. And we were cool. Like, we were friends. Like, I'd see him. I'd give him a hug. I'd say, what's going on? We would talk. We're friendly at the store. We never hung out off site. But we were friendly. Like, we had pushed all the beef aside, and he even did my podcast. We had a great time. And then I started getting more successful, and then my podcast passed his. Then my podcast became number 1, and then the Spotify deal, and that's when he started talking shit about me. So he started talking shit about me long before all this Trump stuff. This Trump stuff is just the most recent iteration of this bizarre thing that he does with people.
I mean, is it really that unreasonable to think that as time went on, Joe Rogan and his political agenda became more and more obvious, and the centrist excuse he always gave became increasingly clear to be a lie? With such a dramatic shift from Rogan, it's perfectly reasonable to assume that Maron's opinion of him changed as well, but obviously Rogan doesn't come to that conclusion. And let's assume for a second that everything Rogan said about Marc Maron is true, that he's a jealous guy who doesn't want anyone but himself to succeed. Even if that were the case, it doesn't mean that the criticism he had towards Joe Rogan and all of the comedians who never dare to criticize him isn't valid. Two things can be true at once. Yes, Marc Maron could be a jealous guy and also have valid criticism of the Rogansphere. The idea that Marc Maron's supposed jealousy somehow negates all of his points is a ridiculous notion that nobody with a functioning brain really buys into. Now let's move on, because Joe Rogan also addresses the joke Marc Maron made in his special about Theo Von, and if you have no idea what the joke is, let me actually show you what he said.
I think if Hitler were alive today, he'd probably appear on Theo Von's podcast. And Theo would be like, see, y'all did a lot of meth, right? I mean, all the Nazis were all fucked up on meth, right, Hitler? That shit'll make you crazy, dog. I did some meth once. I was up for 3 days, and then I ate a live bird. No shit, Hitler, a live bird, bro. Hey, Hitler, you probably didn't even hate the Jews. That was just the meth making you crazy, dog. Hey, Hitler. Do you want to apologize to all the Jews right now on my show? No? I get it.
Right, so you guys get the point. Marc Maron was making fun of the idea that Theo Von would literally talk to anyone. And here's what Rogan had to say about that.
All of a sudden, he talks about them on stage, and the Theo thing really drove me nuts, because that sent Theo into a real spiral.
Did it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, Theo went into a spiral, and that was a big part of him getting attacked, was Maron talking about him on his special, saying that he'd have Hitler on his podcast. Well, why is he saying that? Does he think that's true? Does he think that Theo has anybody on his fucking show, including Bernie Sanders?
He's learning. He wants to learn.
He'll talk to people, and he will talk to anybody on his podcast.
Yeah, it's almost like that's the problem. That's exactly what Marc Maron was pointing out. The fact that not just Theo Von, but the entire Rogansphere, including Rogan himself, will talk to anybody, no matter how corrupt or how awful that person might be. And that's a real issue when you've got millions of people tuning in every day. But the biggest problem of them all is the fact that these guys never push back. No matter who the guest is, they just sit there nodding along, letting whatever nonsense is being said go completely unchecked. So by the end of a 2-hour podcast, people might actually start believing whatever narrative the guest is pushing. Because guess what? When the host, whether it's Joe Rogan or Theo Von, doesn't push back at all, that silence ends up validating the lie for the audience. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one.